Hey YouTube, what's up? unholymac here, and I'm here with an epic video for you today, and I am with
Unholy Beast. Hey guys, how's it going?
Unholy Beast, yeah. So, this is going to be a beastly video. As you probably just saw that I just said there. So, we're playing SkyBlock, because we're cool.
Yeah,
I don't even know what we're going to do.
We need to make a Cobble Stone generator first, don't we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so.
I guess so. Do you want me to make it and you get the wood?
Yeah, pass your stuff.
What stuff? I don't have any stuff. I only have the lava and the thing.
You haven't got any dirt.
Oh, I put the thing. I put the dirt back in there. The dirt's back in the chest.
Alright, cool. I don't want to die already, that'd be so embarrassing.
Oh yeah, it'd be pretty embarrassing dying. Soon as we start the video. I nearly fell off the edge then. Yeah, so guys, some of the rules are you're not allowed to deliberately jump off to regain health and hunger bar. So yeah, if we do that, I think if me and Pete 4 die, I say we should just end the series.
If someone dies,
This series is gone.
hopefully we don't die now. Well, it's when we're both dead.
Yeah, when we're both dead. So if I die before Pete, I won't be in the series till he dies. And yeah, so basically we'll be making other videos in this. Probably might do some survival island. We had that plan for yesterday, but then some servers got cut up.
Oh no, lost a sapling. Oh.
Yeah, you got a sapling, that's good. Let's have the wood, Pete, so I can make a pickaxe and we can get some stone going. That's the wrong thing, buddy. Oh yeah. Yeah guys, my skin is actually Popeye, yeah. What a saint he is.
Popeye.
Popeye the sailor.
Alright,
Do you want a pickaxe as well, Pete?
yeah, sure, might as well.
So here's your pickaxe.
I don't know what I should do. I don't know how far it goes down, so...
What goes down?
The island. Bum bum bum.
Oh, it goes down 3.
3, Okay,
But
so...
leave at least one grass block, otherwise we won't have grass ever again on the island, so that means no seeds.
Yeah,
So we won't
that
be able
would
to have wheat.
suck.
And without wheat, there's no bread.
I mean, no grass is no wheat.
Yeah, but still, if we had no wheat, there'd be no grass.
Okie dokie.
Well, that just made no sense, so anyway.
Okie dokie, karaoke.
Yep, so guys.
So, guys.
So guys, I don't know what you really want us to do in these episodes, like, what kind of series you want us to make.
Oh, Skyblock, of course, because we're making a Skyblock.
Yeah, but like
So-
other series, so like, because you could like go to our Twitters and just like write what we should do or write in the comments really.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah,
Twitter.
buddy. Yeah, buddy. Twitter for the win. I don't really like Facebook really.
No, not a fan, to be honest.
I'm not a fan of putting the videos onto Facebook, so that's why my first video didn't go onto Facebook and I went onto Twitter because it's pretty confusing doing it. It's not confusing, it's just a bit annoying.
My videos got automatically on Twitter anyway, and Facebook, so...
Yeah, no, I need to sort it out. And if any of you guys want to make a fan mail for me, yeah, that'd be pretty epic. Pretty good of you guys, yeah.
Fan mail?
Fun mail, sorry.
Oh, thumbnail.
Yeah.
It said fan mail.
Whoa, that could have been me out the series just then.
Wow, already?
Yeah, I'll walk back. Actually, for safety, I want to do something here. Oh, that's me Optifine going. What are you doing, Pete? Yeah, a bit of safety here. Need to take some precautions.
Precautions.
Yeah, I say we should put a barrier around this island, but otherwise we're going to end up falling off crazily.
Yeah, I think I played SkyBlock before actually on the server, and I absolutely owned it. So
Yeah, I've got 24 cobblestone. Do you want some?
yeah, sure, might as well. Sweet.
So
Got to build the
basically,
island with it.
Yeah, basically, guys, as soon as this both pickaxes run out, I think we'll be in this. If the tree doesn't grow, we might be ending the episode there because you don't really want to wait around for a tree to grow, do you?
Yeah.
Because these trees on Skyblock, they do take quite a long time to grow, actually. Oh yeah, guys, there's a trick. You know this ice block here, it freezes over. If you just cover it over with a block of cobblestone, it doesn't freeze ever again. Yeah, see, been reading and watching some videos of SkyBlock and just watched it. For you people that have problems with that block there.
Wow, how special.
Yeah, very special indeed. Indeed, I am very special.
Ow. Well, I've just like kicked my keyboard in mind, like flying around. I want to get to that island like now.
Oh yeah, you have to put a like a box under it. Whoa, hello. Yeah, you need to put like cobblestone underneath it so that all the sand doesn't fall into the void. Otherwise, we won't get any sand and we won't be able to make a cactus farm.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
some good thinking right there. If we can get some skeletons, then we can make
And
the trees grow
even if you
faster.
touch the island, yeah, like hit it or anything, the island just falls. You can't even open the chest or the island falls. And
Oh,
then
that's nice.
if the island falls, we're pretty much screwed.
Not really. We're not.
Well, we are, because you can't really spawn sand in, and everything on that island, you got. Oh, sorry, you got like cactus and everything.
Nearly died then. What the hell?
Yeah, I know, because I hit the just like clicking over there to like pointy. Oh, someone's spamming me on Skype.
Oh no. Oh no. Oops. I don't know if you did. You pick it up?
Pick what up?
The crafting table.
Oh yeah, I did.
Thanks, mate.
You might want to chuck me your pickaxe because if I get the cobblestone,
Oops.
because
Fail.
mine just ran out. And then there's some cobblestone and some dirt.
Thank you, young sir. Oh, you just picked it up. Thanks. Whoa, and he fell. Oh my god, I absolutely pooed myself.
Does it still go 3D? Yes, it's still 3D. I had some problems with that, didn't I, Pete, with the 3D items? They weren't working for me.
Yeah, I don't know how in the world we're meant to get food because.
Oh, basically, we have to get over there soon so we can get food because I think there's a melon in the chest over there. I can't remember because it's been ages since I've played it.
Oh, okay, so you're pretty high in standards on this game.
I'm pretty knowledgeable about it, but not too knowledgeable.
Okie dokie.
So, guys, I might be doing some Feed the Beast. I'm not too sure yet. I might be. I might not be.
Oh, that's a fail.
What, Feed the Beast?
Yeah. No,
It's actually pretty good, actually, Feed the Beast. It's a pretty good mod pack. Just like when I get, hopefully, guys, I might be getting SimCity soon. So, yeah, the latest one, obviously. So, I might be doing Let's Plays on that with a few other guys.
Yeah, I might do that too.
When you eventually get it.
Yeah.
If you get it.
I did tweet saying should I get it, and then some people said I should. So I will.
It's a bit expensive for what it is, but you get it and people enjoy it, and you get paid for it eventually. So I will, but you would already get paid for it. You'll earn your money back from the game easily.
What do you mean?
Like, you'll earn your money back what you put into the game, how much it cost you.
How? But my YouTube money?
Yeah, your YouTube money.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
See,
So if you guys want me to get SimCity, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. because that will be very, very cool.
Yeah.
And that will help me more.
Pete's a bit of a derp, so he didn't really know what I was speaking about just then. Do you want some more cobble?
Yeah, I guess so.
So as soon as these pickaxes run out in the trees, if they don't grow, we will be ending the episode. And in the description below, I'll put a list of what we need to do, like expand the island, make a cobblestone generator, and I'll just tick them. So all the ones we put a tick next to, we've completed it. So yeah.
We should put them on the screen.
Put them on the screen. But it would take quite a bit of the screen up, to be fair, because it is quite a long list.
Oh, well, as soon as we like accomplish one of them, then we tick it off.
Yeah, that's what
Something
I mean.
like
And just do it in the description. That's what I do. When I did my episode on my really old account, but then I stopped with that account. I think that was the little shout out to my old account, the game in Nerd 1995. I think that was that one actually. But then I deleted all my videos on that, didn't I, Pete?
Yeah. I don't even know how long we've been playing actually.
Yeah. I've nearly run out. I've nearly run out of this pickaxe anyway. Whoa. Please don't ring me while I'm making a video, thank you.
Who was it?
That Aaron.
Oh.
It just popped up on my screen and made me pause, so that's going to be in the video, so I'm sorry for that, guys. It's not
Whoa,
much
that was scary.
There's not much we can really do about it when we're on Skype. If you know how to deal with it, just tell me. So yeah. Because it is pretty annoying when you're in the middle of a video and you have pop-ups from Skype and people ringing you.
So, actually, we might end the video now, actually, should we?
Yeah, guys, so if for my channel, please comment, rate, and subscribe, and like my video.
And for my channel, see you later, guys. Please subscribe and like the video. It'll help me out even more than you guys already helped me out anyway. So, yeah.
Peace, guys.
Peace.
Yeah.